Always assume the worst in negotiations. Always, always, always assume the worst in negotiations. The point is, no one's going to want you to win. If they're on the other side of the table, they're looking to win. How's it going? This is Eric Fondren, Pivot or Die. It's great to see you again. Today we're talking about negotiations, and what I want to tell you is assume the person you're negotiating with has it out for your puppy. You're going into a negotiation without knowing exactly what you want and what you're not willing to give up. You're about to lose everything. So we're back talking about a deep dive into one of my businesses, EM Therapy. As I've said before, it's a mental health company. It provides substance use counseling and mental health therapy, psychotherapy to certain type of clientele so that they can reintroduce themselves to their loved ones and everybody else. So let me recap for you. EM Therapy has won certain contracts in order to operate in specific cities, in specific states. And there's an individual that operates as a contractor for the company that has helped us to win some of these contracts. Now, their earlier agreement set them up to basically get a certain percentage of gross revenue for every contract for the life of the contract. And that made sense when we needed a lot of help up front. But right now, I'm doing the numbers and I'm running the math. And I'm like, this person is getting paid a ridiculous amount of money for doing work 6, 12, 24 months ago. It's time to renegotiate. Basically, what has occurred recently is we are winning new contracts for new sites in new states. Now, at the end of the day, they put in a certain amount of work, and that work is worth a certain amount of value, but it's only worth a certain amount of value. It's not this never-ending dollar figure. And so here we are. We're in the moment of renegotiation, and I've been in negotiations many times on many topics. I've negotiated co-founder exits. I have negotiated $1 million contracts. I've negotiated multi-year agreements. I've negotiated salaries. I've negotiated up and down the line for one company or another. And one thing that has always stood out is if you are going to negotiate, if you're going into a negotiation, know exactly what you're not willing to give up. Most people go in and they say, I want this. And that's all they focus on. They focus on the number or the dollar figure or the thing that they want. But a negotiation is a compromise. And so you need to also know what you're not willing to give up. You're basically putting a floor and a ceiling on the agreement parameters, on the conversation. If you go in saying, hey, I want to make $200,000 in salary on an annual basis, you're at a job interview, you're talking to them, and you come in with a $200,000 number. If you don't go in saying, I'm not willing to make less than, call it 150, when they come to you and they say, 145, you're going to be like, maybe, sort of. The reason why you need a floor in your negotiations, and the floor is what you're not willing to give up, is because it actually makes you more powerful. And your validation is actually stronger for your floor than it is for your ceiling, because your ceiling is an ideal, but your floor is basically a gate. I'm not going through this gate. So in this scenario with EM Therapy, basically my floor is validated based on my economic viability for the new site. This site is going to make a certain amount of money, and I am not willing to pay more than this amount on a frequent basis, because it'll ruin the economics of this site. I won't be able to make enough money in order to operate it profitably. That's my floor. Now I'll go in with an ideal. Yeah, I want you to make this percentage, and they'll come back. If they come back with a number that's above my floor, I'm still winning. And that's the point. You need to understand that winning isn't getting what you want. It's not getting your ideal. That's the point number 2. Winning in a negotiation is getting to a point where both people are happy with certain terms and unhappy with others. There was some guy I was having a negotiation with, and he said something poignant. He said, a good contract is one where both people feel a little bit uncomfortable at the end of the day. They feel like they had to give up something at the end of the day. And that's the point. Two people are on opposite sides of the table. They have to come together in order to agree upon certain terms so that they can operate in a healthy way for the life of the contract. The other point of your contract negotiation, no matter what it is to always have an end date and an out clause. Understand that contracts end and you need to figure out how to exit the agreement and not be beholden to it forever. There is no contract that should ever go on in perpetuity, and you should fight like hell to make sure that doesn't happen to you, no matter what it is. So, point number one, make sure you know exactly what you're not willing to give up in a negotiation. Point number two is understanding that winning is not equivalent to getting everything that you want. And point number three is always have an exit clause. Always have the ability to leave that contract, whether it is because of broken terms, broken performance, or simply because the clock ran out. Whatever the case is, always have an exit clause. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment. Let me know what you're thinking about if you're having negotiation issues yourself. And I will see you on the next Pivot or Die episode.